Today's Wiser is guaranteed to make you a better listener. Let's get wiser together. But let's start where we always do, with the wisdom. You don't grow wiser by talking more. You grow wiser by paying closer attention. Listening well is an act of humility and a gift to everyone involved. Let's look at a visual, an illustration that complements today's principle, and it's one of my favorites that I've ever produced. You have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Use them in that ratio. This image reminds us a simple truth, that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, but we often don't use them in that ratio. When there's an imbalance, it's typically subtle but powerful. When we rush to respond or interrupt or even mentally rehearse our next point, we often miss what's actually being said. Wisdom often arrives quietly, but only if we're actually silent enough to hear it. Let's look at a saying that complements this, and it comes courtesy of author Stephen R. Covey. He says that most people do not listen with the intent to understand, they listen with the intent to reply. Now, this is something that we can all relate to, right? We've all been in one of those conversations where we're playing that table tennis of a discussion. I make a remark, then they make one back, and you don't ever feel like you've actually been heard. But this quote very much captures the heart of the issue. Listening isn't about waiting for your turn to speak. It's about creating space for understanding to emerge. Let's unpack this further with today's explanation. One of the biggest takeaways from my recent coaching qualification that I'm undertaking has been that just how transformative true listening can be. Not fixing, not advising, not even jumping in with your own story, just listening. When someone feels genuinely heard, clarity often follows, without needing to say much at all. And yet, listening well is harder than it looks. It requires patience, restraint, and presence. As we look to grow better at listening, let's look at 3 practical ways to become a better listener. The first is to listen to understand, not to respond. Notice when your mind starts preparing a reply while the other person is still speaking. Gently bring your attention back to them and make space to understand before replying. Number 2 is to ask clarifying questions instead of giving advice. Questions like, can you say more about that? Or what did that feel like for you? Deepen the conversation and signal genuine care. Advice is rarely as helpful as truly just feeling like you've been heard. And the third and final point is to embrace the silence. In particular, you don't need to fill every gap. Silence can feel uncomfortable, but it's often where the most meaningful insights surface. So make sure that you give people time to think, reflect, and finish their thoughts fully. If you want to reflect on this and your ability to listen more, I encourage you to complete today's 3 journal prompts. We start with, do I listen to understand or to reply? Simply put. The second is, who in my life might feel more supported if I listened better? And then the third is, what would change if I slowed down and created more space for silence? If you want to learn more about the life-changing habit of journaling, check out journalwise.com. I've got a link in the description for that free resource for you to access today. Now let's move on to today's resource that complements today's principle of wisdom, and it is a TED Talk courtesy of Julian called 5 Ways to Listen Better. In this talk, Julian makes a compelling case that listening is a skill, and like any skill, it can be practiced and improved. He explores why we're losing the ability to truly listen in a noisy, distracted world, and offers a simple, practical approach to how to rebuild that ability. If you want to become more present in conversations or deepen your relationships and understand others more clearly, this will be a powerful place to start. You can get wiser with Julian with the link in the description. And thank you so much for checking out today's video version of Wiser. If it resonated with you, let me know with a comment down below. And if you want to learn more, you can consider checking out the Wiser playlist here. I've got plenty more videos for you to enjoy. Catch you in the next one.